Well, folks, good to be here tonight. We're presenting a show to you all concerning music and talk. And what we're doing is the name of the show is Talking. Kinston, and I hope everybody has a nice time. And I would like to, for one thing, give thanks to Mr. Johnny Noel for having us here at his place here in Kinston, North Carolina. And now I'd like to introduce you to John, the host of the show. He will be doing his job tonight.
Well, thank you kindness. As our producer has just informed you, we are starting up an evening of music and conversation here in Kinston, and we have one guest here this evening because one is all we need. We're going to have a good long talk with Mr. Dennis Gaddy, chairman of the NAACP Criminal Justice Committee, and a few other things as well. Long, strong talk, Mr. Gaddy. Just let's share this thing here. Okay. Thank you so much. It's good to be here. I understand that beyond me, the chair of Criminal Justice Committee, things that we hear about. You have your own, shall we say, nonprofit organization.
Yes. I currently serve as the executive director of an organization in Raleigh, North Carolina called Community Success Initiative. It is a 10-year-old nonprofit organization working with men and women who are coming out of prisons and jails and who otherwise find themselves entangled in the criminal justice system.
Those labels, convicts and felons.
Absolutely.
Classic.
We are, as a matter of fact, one of the things that we work on is the language, as a matter of fact, because it can be stigmatizing. So we have working on the language of the formerly-incarcerated individuals, people like the textual versus ex-language.
Well, when I was there to speak with you about it, there's a lot of people.
We work, our offices are located in Raleigh with the Workforce Development Center, a place called NC Works, and it is a Department of Commerce concern that allows the unemployed in general to come there, and our offices are located there in order that we may be able to work with people who have criminal backgrounds to be able to get work. So all those computer terminals that you saw were allowing people to put their profiles online and to get access to employment and get their resumes done, a litany of other things as well.
Was this a question of grant work?
Well, yes, it's a partnership. Part of that, all of that work, that organization there, the NC Works portion,
Yes.
is a division of the Department of Commerce, which is funded that. So we partner with it.
Excellent. I understand also you are of the NAACP.
Yeah, I had the good fortune last year to go to Geneva on behalf of Dr. William Barber, the president of the North Carolina NAACP, and to fight for felony disenfranchisement at the world stage. As you may or may not know, or as our audience may or may not know, is that one of the issues that people who have criminal backgrounds face is the issue of voting. And across America, there are different
Jury duty as well. Jury duty as well.
Absolutely.
Citizenship supposed to come along automatically. Nationality.
Absolutely. And we believe that once a person has completed their time and have gotten back and have fulfilled our obligation to the courts, that we feel that they ought to also be able to get their voting rights restored. And in some cases that is true, and in some cases it is not true in America. So our trip to Geneva was to sound the alarm at the UN, talk about the shameful condition, actually, of a person not being able to vote. Not only is that not being a shameful condition, but a human rights condition.
Exactly. Getting bitten.
The bug will be supposedly unleashed to push global push for human rights. Some countries, it turns out, taking seriously.
Well, and in America, although we have 3% of the world's population and 25% of the world's prisoners. So it's
Highest incarceration rate in history of humankind.
In the world, that's correct. That's correct. As a matter of fact, if you go to Dulles Airport in D.C., when you're getting off the plane and going down to baggage overhead, the NAACP has a sign that says, "Welcome to America, home of 3% of the world's population and 25% of the world's prisoners." So just to kind of set the tone.
Briefly, introductions. Maybe not completely wrong. I understand that we spoke real briefly just before this all started, and it didn't sort of, I'm curious to hear the details. It doesn't.
That's why somebody working, and for instance, with the NAACP has a more personal approach to how we got into the work. If you didn't study law, where did you actually attend these?
well, I did my undergraduate work at UNC in Chapel Hill, and also Canada, also now in Raleigh, and also Bowling Creek, North Carolina. And kind of ironically, I guess when I got out of law school, I found sales and marketing as my niche. So I went into sales and marketing. So I didn't do a lot of practice in law. And sales and marketing became pretty good at what I did for 18 years. And during that period of time, got married to the lady I'm still married to today, Jacqueline, 33 years later. And we have 2 adult daughters. And it was after that I made some important financial choices in business. And actually, I ended up spending 5.5 years in prison myself behind those poor choices. But I had, after prison, I kind of landed on my feet. Well, let me back up a little bit. The work that I currently do was started in prison while I was still incarcerated because I did some leadership workshops. Because personal development coaching was what I did for the majority of my life in business.
Oh, okay.
And so I was able to do that with the chaplain's help. So I taught a class on Sunday nights on leadership and personal development. And it led to some other things when we worked with these programs that I got on while I was still incarcerated. So actually, I do this work. I come to this work by obligation. You know, I feel obligated because I was able to land on my feet. I was able to have a support network, and that's what we do is help create a support network for people in the areas of what I call the big 4: jobs, housing, education, and human services. Trying to connect people with resources in their lives. So I didn't come to this work by coincidence. It's by my own personal experience. Yeah.
Now, the big 4, you were just saying that we have by far and away the largest prison population the world has ever seen. I'm reminded of those. I believe it's actually going from Columbine. The one where he's quoting Americans who are saying punch conviction as to what's crazy in America, and then looks around and finds out that Germany is our country. We're being up again, and then to see the homeless in some town. And the locals said, well, I don't really know what you mean. We live on assistance. There, we see a nice clean.
Sure.
But we want to know building projects. I have safety supervision. We don't do a good job. Here in this egregiously poor when it comes to pigmentation in their skin.
Yeah, the whole issue of race in America is a big elephant in the room, so I like to talk about it. But if you were to look at the whole criminal justice continuum from, say, the stop all the way through sentencing, there are egregious and enriching biases along every phase where African Americans are stopped and frisked more. Okay. They get less pretrial release, they have higher bails, and then even when they get to sentencing, they get longer sentences simply because of their poverty, number one. For instance, if a person traditionally, all statistics lead to say that whites and African Americans commit crimes at about the same rate.
I know that's certainly the case with drug use and self.
That's right. And it stretches across the board, across criminal activity in general.
Which I believe is quite to be expected, really, if you're listening to sociologists.
Well, but you can't tell it about the people they lock up. so
It would appear that we had this huge.
yeah, in America we had 350,000 people locked up in 1972. Fast forward to 2015, they're 2.4 billion. Okay, and that didn't just happen by accident. There was this war declared in the post-Reagan years on drugs. It was a war on drugs, and it was actually a war on African American males. It was a war on poverty. It was a war that began to put people in jail and prisons at an astronomically high rate, mostly disproportionate African American males. And here we are today. If you read the book, The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, it talks about if you ever get a criminal conviction on your record now, it's subject to the same punishment as it would bring back the same things that the old Jim Crow did. You can't vote, you can't work. That's right. Let's talk about that box, because it has people in the box. All right. And we want to ban blocks. That's one of our initiatives in the legislature. We do a lot of policy work as well. And one of our initiatives going into the new legislative session is to ban blocks from the state applications around the question as to whether or not a person is ever been convicted. Because what the box does not tell us, it doesn't tell you how long ago it's been. It doesn't tell you what you've done since then. It doesn't tell you how you got your life together. It's just a box. So you never get a chance to have FaceTime, you never have a chance to have the interview, you never get a chance to say, look at my certificates of welding, look at my GED, look at my things I've done since then, I'm a grandfather, back in my child's life, whatever, and you don't have a chance to do that. That would make a difference if you have a chance to have some FaceTime with the prospective employee.
Well, you know, I have to admit that culturally speaking, I'm a bit of a mountain. Certain white women, I would venture to say that it's the ones that are in business, whether or not I have done better or not, that's for me to whether or not I have not done it, it's important for people who take down statistics. Right. It's not important for some reason.
Well,
we had that conversation real briefly beforehand about second changes in the whole.
Yeah, well, I want to fight back a little bit on that because I understand from the employer standpoint that there needs to be a little bit of transparency and that they need to know who they're hiring, but at the same time, there also needs to be this concept of second chances if a person should show that they want to turn their life around. Because if I was an employer...
We both know that if you don't get a job, you can do that.
Well, that's true. But at the same time, you got issues with liability that some employers may be thinking about if they're hiring people who they may not be aware of what their current tendencies may be.
Sure. Well, it's always been a fight in the question. I wouldn't presume to know to what degree it's been a fight outside the question. Exclude the local between the power. Once the feudalism went into dissolved a long time ago, you had those corporations and a growing establishment of non-land-based companies. It's always been that tension between these different companies who make up the workers, people who make up the basic pays, people who make up the principles of their life. The various ways that the people define ourselves more and more as voters and more as consumers and stuff. Sure. And the tension, not that we have 5 hours to talk about it, but the tension between these different factors is and we are very much consumer. we're not trying to from the same.
Absolutely.
We're not trying to reach the golden mean from the same place. As some others.
Well, getting back to the war drugs concept we talked about a while ago, that's what happened after the civil rights victories. Is that self-restraint?
Yeah. What?
Self-restraint. Yeah.
12 years?
Yeah. After the 70s.
Oh, the started to mix in backlash.
That's exactly
violent in the media.
Yes. Well, they had the strategy, self-strategy is what it was called. And it was
The Republican Party.
the Republican Party who said, look, I feel threatened out by my jobs. Now African Americans have all these rights that just threaten my jobs. What can we do about that? And the answer was to label people felons because of low-level drug offenses and work of a job.
The race baiting. It was a brilliant strategy. I never heard who thought of it. It's look. It's up again. Michelle Alexander's Newsroom Pro, please, by all means, go ahead and spend the $20 and read the book. And then find out the most interesting 10 to 20 references. And go find this. But absolutely, the idea that we could ultimately get a heck of a positions by undermining the Democratic Party in the South. And the only way to do that was to get more white of the South and make the Democratic Party in the South dependent on its base, which would never really fly in the power in the North. As long as they could get roughly close to 50%. So now we find ourselves in a situation where because of that, you have to be sent out to the UN as a delegate of an organization that recognizes the sheer degree to which the United States, as a part of the first world, falls short of ideals and practical.
And interestingly enough, John, is that let's look a little deeper at that voting piece, the felony disenfranchisement piece. To take away a person's right to vote has never been designed as punishment in America. It's always been designed as to disenfranchise the African American male.
Oh,
So it was never designed for punishment. It was designed to debase the vote. And let's roll back now and park ourselves for a minute at the Emancipation Proclamation. After that was done, there was a flurry of African Americans in the legislature. There was a flurry of African Americans who said, well, wait a minute. So all these laws are crimes of low-level trespassing, babies law were created so that if you were in a parking lot at the top or something, you get this citation that became a criminal record.
it's worse than that. You had once again, according to this wonderful book from real estates, you had to register once a year. Check in on whether or not you had a job. And if you didn't, you went to prison. And if you went to prison, you then got ferried out to corporations like mine.
I'm big Lisa.
Yeah. Good old stuff. All right, we're done with our first segment, and we're going to take a break for some good music. All right.
Yeah, we were talking about,
convict.
yeah, and also, one of the things I'm very proud of is I work around policy and to changing, to help change the laws that impact people who are formerly incarcerated. About 4 years ago, I was part of a study committee for legislation to study this whole issue of what we call priesthood reentry, okay, and how that we can remove some of the barriers. What we talk about land and laws. One also is talk about how we can have some alternatives to incarceration. You know, in America,
Always up and coming.
yes,
It's hardly freedom from the machine, but it's not becoming issue of freedom.
absolutely. 60% of Americans are incarcerated with nonviolent drug offenses. And we believe
Not
that,
including all the non-violent offenses.
that's right. No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Vast majority.
Very good point. And we're saying that, for instance, if you do your time on the front end, why shouldn't you continue to do your time on the back end, right? If you're being continually punished.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
Because-
right, the entire idea that a punishment is supposed to be complete
Right,
and therefore limited.
that's exactly right.
You're sentenced to 2 years in jail, you go to jail for 2 years, and then it is.
We have criminal record now, we want to organize expungement laws. We have something down in North Carolina called our certificates of relief, which is all about expungement. I say it's its cousin, because I always use that example because it's in the same family of giving you some relief after a certain amount of time has gone by since your conviction. So, although we want to expand this a bit, now the law talks about that if it's been after 12 months of your first offense, you can actually go and you're doing positive things. You either have a job or you're looking for a job. All the progress have been made in your probation and parole. And you can apply to the court, the same court that sentenced you for a declaration of saying something like this person has done the right thing, and that same court now kind of validates you. So
But who would that information be open to?
it will be open to the employers and housing because the employer has an incentive for recognizing the certificate because all liability issues are waived. If there are any liability issues, concerns, that if he hires you because you have a certificate, then of course he doesn't have to worry about being sued for anything that you may be liable for on his job.
Well, when it comes to oral insurance, I believe oral insurance is
Yes.
octopus,
It is.
mostly pernicious offense. But what you just said, who's guaranteeing that? At what point can you turn around to his insurance company and say, no, you can't sue it because it got a certificate that went along with the employment? That's the same regular law, actually. Hardwiring that in.
That's something, well, actually, he can't be sued, but that does not stop the insurance company from, but the insurance company is less likely to raise rates if they know they can't be sued.
True.
So then hopefully it would work that way. But the fact that you bring that up is also a question of concern. That insurance companies do raise rates in a lot of cases to employers who they know hire records. The assumption that they are higher risk. We don't have any proof of that. You know, people who are employed are more employable than people without records.
Well, first of all, there is you're absolutely right about the little bit that I know that how these things unfold over the years. It tends to be that one has notions, and then well after that fact, well after the beginning of some kind of policy, somebody somewhere in the university says I'm those notions, and it turns out that you are, and your notions were incorrect.
And there again, John, not because there are,
Not because they're doing that.
right, just because
Connections.
can't afford bond, can't afford lawyers. So they go to jail.
Oh, well, now, okay, that's very true in the sense that they don't get themselves out to work. They're stuck.
And guess what that leads to? After a week, that job that you had, and now it's gone. What do you think? What happened? What do you think? What happened? Well, just think about it. Well, because it was designed to punish African American men and take them out of the working pool. Think about the voting pool.
Quite crudely, it's simple.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, think about it now, just from the standpoint of alternatives to incarceration. Let's say that if and by the way, getting back to the time the person's been incarcerated, statistics say that after 7 years since your last conviction, that you're no more likely to commit a crime than somebody who's never committed a crime. All right. So, but we still punish people beyond 10 years, beyond 15 years, beyond 20 years. So that's one thing we also have to look at is that how long should a person have to do time, right? And then secondly, these alternatives to incarceration, house arrest could be a viable option. A person can still go to work, a person can still contribute to his family, can pay taxes, all those kinds of things. But now we spend $28,000 a year on average per year on average in America locking someone up, where that if we use $8,000 to $10,000 of that and doing some wraparound support, having a person who's home with their children, having a person who can work. If we ran a company the way we ran the penal system, the CEO would be fired tomorrow.
Very true. Now, getting to what you're working with directly from, what concrete steps have you taken in the immediate here and now organization?
Well, we're 10 years old, so that's kind of old and young at the same time. You know, so we started with these community roundtables. We bring people in the community around food and fellowship, and just to talk about at that time these issues at that time that were new. This whole prisoner reentry, this whole tsunami of people coming home. 750,000 people come home in America every year, per year for the next 10 years in America. So we knew that there wasn't the support on the end of that to support that. So that's kind of when we dove into the conversations. We brought people around the community, these roundtables that kind of have become signature roundtables today. And we just began to talk. We didn't have any legislative connections. We didn't have any kind of political elections. The judges didn't know who we were and all those kinds of things. So we just began to, now what has happened that is that has grown into some pretty good connections in the community. We get referrals from judges now to people come to our program in lieu of locking them up, which I think is a positive thing. And we also have some pretty good connections with some of our partners in the community, business partners, our community colleges, those types of things. I'd like to enhance that. I'd like to also maybe create an entrepreneurship initiative for people who can't find jobs but are very skilled to be able to start their own businesses and own their own business at least part-time. Yeah.
That was a wonderful idea.
So hopefully we can do that. We want to create some leadership positions of people formerly incarcerated, because every major movement in America, or world probably, if you study it, it's usually made successful by the people who are most impacted by the problem. Okay, so the whole issue. So we believe that if there's going to be a monumental change, a shift away from this kind of this criminalized thinking, or the new Jim Crow thinking, that we believe that we're going to have to form some leadership forums and initiatives that are led by formerly incarcerated people.
It seems,
And we do that for our second chance clients.
it seems to me that there was a reason.
Where your population of being large.
Otherwise, just actions. White consensus poll, white churches, but the white community actually got its attention whole onto some very important issues. Unfortunately, we're talking like 1916, we had someone like Nixon, you know, quote, graphic. Who's that? Could it be chief? I can't remember the story. That would be like taking I'm sure. Why do you think that there is, you hope or you believe that time is coming?
I do simply because the number of people coming home from prison now. Let me explain a little bit about how that occurred. How do we come? We just all of a sudden get this tsunami of people coming out. I use that word because it's just kind of makes the picture away from people that in our community as a metaphor. But visualize those folks who were locked up over the years in the war on drug years now are beginning to come home. All right. So if we don't pay attention to that, the state legislatures across America now are their whole conversation around criminal justice has changed simply because the dollars have changed. In other words, the economic concern in America is that we have no money to build more prisons. Well, today is not the right time to not be able to build prisons if you don't have a solution for it, because the people who are coming out, if they don't have services, they're going back to prison because they're going back to commit crimes if they can't find work. So this whole re-entry conversation began at that intersection because people could not afford, all state legislatures, including North Carolina, could not afford to build more prisons. So they said, well, wait a minute, if we can't afford to build more prisons, what do? Let's try to stop people from going back to prison. And that's how this whole, it wasn't because I was concerned about the morality of it all. It was an economic concern, basically, from our legislatures. But at least we got into the conversation. So, and that's what started conversation of being able to. So I think.
State we're in.
Yes.
Here in North Carolina.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you believe that it's going to work simply through interest groups and business and legislatures?
Well, I think
Without all those middle class, so right, getting.
Well, I think after a while, so a community like a chain is no stronger than its weakest link. Okay, so I think if you have every new crime carries with it a victim. So when you got that kind of people coming home from prison without any resources, in effect, after a while, if it's not tended to, it affects the whole chain. So everybody after a while will get in on the action simply because of public safety issues, simply because of fear, those kinds of things, if it's not dealt with. So I think at some time, everybody has skin in the game in this it's a bipartisan issue.
Well, I wish you luck on that. I'm a little sick. I mean, look what we've done since 1982. Sure. Oh, away. And then blame them.
Yeah.
And then blame them.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
I mean, it's really the kid in the playground kicking somebody. Why are you hitting?
yeah,
It's not hitting.
yeah.
So I hope.
Speaking of children, by the way, let's not also forget that there's a whole new population of people involved in the criminal justice system called high school students who drop out.
Oh,
And school prison pipeline. And not because they drop out of school, it's because of long-term suspensions. And if a child's ever long-term suspended from school, also disproportionately African-American kids,
Well, sure.
that if they're ever long-term suspended from school, it's a clue that they're on the school prison pipeline. And kids are getting long-term suspended and short-term suspended from school for things that really they need to be in the principal's office, but they end up at the police precinct.
I pulled the fire alarm. Me too. Oh, yeah. I did see more terror of the day that the principal showed back up.
Sure.
120 seconds, maybe.
Yes. That's right. That was enough.
But I guess we're not
Well, I know that North Carolina and New York are the only two states that treat 16 and 17 years as adults in the criminal justice system. And we're fighting to also raise the age to 18 for criminal liability. So, I mean, you can ruin a child's life at an early age for something that children do. And we're locking up children, and I use that word as my friend Attorney Darrell Ackman says, we're locking up children.
I was reading a paper, the local paper, it's really a conglomeration of most articles from those systems. All trying to figure out this. And most of them are reporting most of the reports. So they can't record this stuff. And it's just a little bit of it. This article from somewhere off in Colorado. Or someone had a revolution. That revolutionary plan was some guy who is upset. He's happy. He says something nasty. Doesn't do it. Tells him something completely normal for a 15-year-old kid. And instead of being sent to the police officer, I can't quote them, but basically they say, instead of being sent to the police officer, he is sent to some thing that's crazy. It's the room where someone who's a teacher, but her job is to be there as soon as we send and talk about the problem. Because they're fighting a succession, they can both get sent, so they have to talk about it. I was working as a paraprofessional with some 12-year-old person with autism and whatnot. I was taking them out for the day, taking them back to the group home, spend all the time shooting hoops, trying to get to shooting hoops. I can see it on his face. He realizes he's socially angry at everything. So he's not playing. So I asked him a question, and in 3 minutes they've gotten it out, and it's done. And this is considered a revolutionary program that I find to have police officers in every state. Well, forgive me a little bit. But I believe that is the end of our segment 3. So we'll take another break. And that's you guys short.
That's good. That's right. That's right. I understand.
Okay, it was so. Yeah, I knew we were trying to figure it out.
Yes, I have. When you said that,
Just once in a while. They do have their own articles, twice. Also, just.
This is original gospel. What I want to do is say, Lord, take all of me. Lord, take all A little bit of nervousness always counts sometimes, but it makes you feel good. Thank you.
Welcome, we are back talking instant evening music and conversation. Dennis Gaddy of NAACP and City Success Initiative. I understand you were intimately involved in the world of administration.
Well,
Obviously,
yeah, very, very proud to be a part. First of all, I just want to say a shout out to my leader with NAACP in North Carolina, Dr. Barber, who is very instrumental in this whole movement of late.
Perfect.
Yes. And he has all kinds of recognition across the nation as a model to building organizations for social change, and the More Money movement was an example of that. But most people don't realize that it came out from under another movement that is now about 10 years old, and that's something that we call Historic Thousands on Jones Street, which is reference to where the legislature is in Raleigh on Jones Street. So for short, we just call it HKOJ. And so that's what that means. And it's really, we started with our 14-point agenda that covered an array of social justice initiatives and issues. And we still have those 14-point agenda today. You can go to hkmj.com or hkmj.org, I think, I'm sorry. Or you can always go to NAACP.org to find out all about the More Money movement, HKMJ, and the North Carolina NAACP's mission and work. Last year, we put approximately 80,000 people in Raleigh on a Saturday to walk from Shaw University all the way up to the legislature to kind of advocate for our cause, our largest crowd ever. Again this year, we're going to invite people to come to that on the February 14th. It's always the second Saturday in February. So this year will be on Valentine's Day.
Well, so now I'll make it because I can't sit here and
Right.
not make it.
So Dr. Barber says, if you're going to be talking about your sweetheart, he said, make sure that you indicate that you have love for justice. So I'm going to ask everybody to come. Again, those websites for that is www.naacp.org.
or HKOJ.org, and you can find out all about that and get flyers, download flyers for animosity friends and whatnot. But that work, so getting back to the Moral Money movement, that really exploded across the state and across America this past year, bringing on audiences that were traditionally thought of, and counties that were traditionally thought of as conservative counties. And the thing is that the injustices that were going on, or that are going on, that came out of our legislature, it proved that they were just that, injustices. They were not white injustices, they weren't black injustices, because we were going to counties that were always traditionally voted conservative. And we put 400 and 500 people at those meetings, at those on those days. So it really proved to be an issue that people felt, regardless of their affiliation in politics. So we'll be continuing.
Well, it seemed to be like it had a strong, not a required, but in a very positive way. I found there, look around, I saw people.
Yes.
You don't have three classes in this country, right? Anything else, you have five.
Right.
And lower to lower middle and middle.
Absolutely. And all ethnic, all ethnicities, colors.
Various different professions.
Yes. So it was a broad-based coalition and movement. And so if you think about just the mission of the NAACP, which is to ensure political, social, economic integrity for all people, and to eliminate racial hatred and biases. So I think people, once you are talking about that, people who really believe that are showing up. And plus, it was well organized by Dr. Barber too. So we're looking forward to building on that this year. Our work at Community Success we are one of the 187 HKOJ partners that form the HKOJ coalition. Okay, so it's all of us working together to strengthen what I think is a powerful movement. One of the issues that we have to constantly work on and talk about, especially in light of the profiling cases that have been going on of late across America, is that we have to look at what's going on with racial profiling.
Yes.
As I said earlier, just looking at the police stops, we would just use that. Just police stops. African American males are more likely to get frisked and stopped than whites. African Americans are more likely to get stopped first, right? And then when stopped, get frisked. Anywhere along the criminal justice continuum, there's this, I call it, just powerful, ugly racial and ethnic issue biases.
I don't know what year it was. Once again.
Upside down. Newsroom Pro, Michelle Alexander. Somewhere recently in Illinois, not too many years ago, in Illinois, Hispanics, 8% of the population, 3% of those actually being on the road going somewhere at any given time, 30%.
Yes.
30% out of 8% population, which represents 3% on the road.
And think about what that does.
Just one thing, the impact of racial profiling, the impact that has on the community where that person's from. There's some people who are, that's all they see. In other words, they don't ever see anybody get up and going to work. They always see people involved in the criminal justice system. So somehow or another, that kind of gets into their DNA, and that whole community gets kind of locked down, basically, because of those things. And then, when people are found not guilty, or people find that it didn't happen, the person still has an arrest record that is not expungible, or that is not expunged. We're working on getting it expunged too automatically, so that when they go to apply for a job, even though it was a dismissed case,
even though it was a not guilty verdict,
I wasn't
we
aware.
still have an arrest record. That's not automatically expected.
That anyone else in the public could see it just as
Absolutely.
I thought that was limited to police.
No. It's public record, and it's, even though the arrest record may show that it was dismissed or found not guilty, it has a chilling effect on the employer. To say, well, we don't know, they were arrested, but oh yeah, I see that was dismissed, but still, they're involved in criminal justice activity. So we're wanting to say, can this record be automatically expunged from the day, real time on the computer, from the time that they're...
Well, I'll tell you right now, in my stodgy German fashion, if you want the problem not to arise, then don't let it arise. Don't have to not.
Right.
Stop there, regard.
John, closing, one of the things that, as we wind down here, one of the things I like people to do, if they have a chance, is also to go on the website for community success. We're at www.communitysuccess.org. That's www.communitysuccess.org. And they can go out and watch all our videos, they can watch the work that's been done over the last 10 years. They can even donate money if they want to do that. We're all, not donate, but we all support financially and otherwise. So feel free to do that as well. And our new video is online, celebrating our 10 years this past October. It's a 22-minute version, just update people on the work we're doing, our work with NAACP, our work with the judicial system, our work with community colleges and those kind of things, local banks. So very excited about where we're headed, and we've got a lot of work to do. And but I appreciate the exposure from guys like you to kind of get the word out.
Embrace us. And thank you all for tuning in. This is the first of, I'm sure, many songs. Talk, it's an evening of music and conversation. Coach Thompson.
Thank you.